Why isn't anyone listening to Still Woozy?
Why you always hate to break bread? Think about the way that you would feel if that was...
I've gotten that question or something adjacent to that question a few times over the last year. People ask me why he isn't blowing up, why haven't I made a video about him yet, and more stuff along those lines. I think there's a pretty simple answer to that question, but before we get there, let me give you a little background on the musician known as Still Woozy. Sven Gamsky is a musician in his mid-20s from Oakland, California. Still Woozy is his one-man solo project, although he does have a band he plays with live and a few people to help mix and master his music. At the time of this video at least, he's still independent from any kind of label. Before going solo, he was in a math rock inspired band called Feed Me Jack, where he played guitar and provided vocals from time to time. The band called it quits, and in 2017, Sven released his first solo track, Vacation, under the name Still Woozy. Like all of his music, it was recorded in his garage where he plays guitar, bass, drums, synthesizer. Everything you hear on his songs is pretty much all Sven.
285, still my goal, but I don't rush them.
A few months later, he released the song Cooks, and at this point, he wasn't expecting much at all. It was only him and his friends listening to Still Woozy's music. Luckily for Sven, Cooks was featured on the Fresh Finds Spotify playlist that has tens of thousands of followers. And after releasing just his second song, he had a decent-sized fan base that was awaiting his next release.
Let's get ready, maybe I might be.
Cooks was also the first of Still Woozy's songs to have a music video. Fans could attach some visuals to the music they had come to love, and what they saw was a weird, quirky love story over basketball and Pepto-Bismol milkshakes. After the release of yet another single in Wolfcat, Still Woozy released his biggest song to date, Goodie Bag. If you know Still Woozy, you probably know him from this track. First off, the music video really blew up on YouTube. I feel like it's the new boy Pablo every time. YouTube kept recommending it to me over and over again until I finally clicked it. Besides that, it's blown up on streaming services too, millions upon millions of listens, it's a mainstay in all the featured indie playlists and whatnot, and Goodie Bag seems like it'll be a great jumping off point for Still Woozy going forward. But that brings me to my main point. People are wondering why he doesn't have millions of followers and a big record deal yet, and it's because he has like 7 songs. And that's not hyperbole, he has 7 songs. Here's all of them. He's been touring for about a year now, and the setlist has to include covers of, say, Mac DeMarco and Hank Williams, because otherwise the show would probably feel way too short. And don't get me wrong, I think his music is really cool. He's clearly a guy that listens to a lot of different stuff. His songs show influences from just about everything: electronic, jazz, blues, folk, rock, pop, whatever. There are some really catchy riffs. I love the synths that he throws on his music. His lyrics aren't mind-blowing, but they're interesting enough to pull you in and keep you actively listening throughout the song. The overall aesthetic of Still Woozy is fascinating too. The name itself, that word woozy, seems to blend perfectly into the music that you're listening to. For the most part, it's pretty chill and mellow, but there's still something that's a little disorienting about it. And like a true well-rounded artist, he's got cover art and music videos that fit the whole vibe very well. Sven is a very talented musician. He's been playing guitar for a long time, and it shows. Without a label to help him out, his songs are still very well produced. It's funny, he's listed Steve Lacy as his major musical influence, and I think that's well represented in his music. Steve has famously made a lot of his music on his iPhone, so I think there's plenty of overlap there. Extremely genre-bending, conceptually interesting musicians making the most of what they have, and the results are pretty great in both cases. Sven and his band have been hitting some pretty big stages lately. They played Tropicalia in 2018, and they have Governor's Ball and Coachella to look forward to this year. Overall, I think Still Woozy has a very bright future, and I'm certainly rooting for him. I just want to hear more music from this artist before I decide that he deserves the world. So, when he does drop a full-length project, and hypothetically if he doesn't start blowing up, I'll be right with you, asking everyone why they're not listening to Still Woozy. Hey, thank you for watching that video. If you enjoyed it, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. That stuff is easy and it does help the channel out. If you want to support the channel in different ways, you can follow me on social media at RenshawHS on Instagram and Twitter. You can buy my merch, support my Patreon, and I'll see you soon.